I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Greetings. My name is Joseph Yagar. Welcome to another Life in Perspective broadcast. My objective is to provide thought-provoking discussions so you can optimize your perspective on life. In a few short months, these words and oaths similar to it will be uttered by dozens of officials beginning another term of governance bestowed on them by the people who trusted their well-being in their hands and that expect that this responsibility and duty be carried out with the utmost care. These elected officials state clearly in almost every oath that it will either preserve, protect, defend, or support the Constitution against enemies foreign and domestic. Nowhere, however, have I seen the word interpret the Constitution as part of the oath of responsibility. That is the honor and responsibility of the High Court alone. Yet in the midst of the most pivotal election year in decades, it seems some official thought it appropriate to do so at a grave and irreplaceable cost. My question to these officials is, how dare you? Before I continue, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so by clicking the subscribe link below. It's free and would be much appreciated. You may also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. In my video, Remember the Titans, come November, I spoke of the qualities we should aspire to and expect in our elected leaders. However, 2020 has revealed a colossal failure in leadership that cannot be ignored because he threatens to pierce through our strongest line of defense, our Constitution. And today, I intend to call out those responsible for acting against it. I cannot sit idle while high-ranking politicians dare to say publicly things like, Constitution schmonstitution, why should I let that get in the way of my agenda? Debate or no debate, that was out of line and for me, unacceptable. If you have that little regard for the Constitution you swore an oath to support, defend, and bear true faith and allegiance to, you have no business being in politics. Article 3 of the U.S. Constitution states that, and I summarize, treason against the U.S. consists only in levying war against the U.S. or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. And no person shall be convicted without the testimony of two witnesses. Please explain to me how injuring and killing innocent people and law enforcement officers, destroying federal property, burning and looting livelihoods, caught on camera with dozens of witnesses, and the perpetrators released without charges, isn't adhering to domestic enemies and giving them aid and comfort. How is that different from letting a foreign enemy come in, destroy federal property, kill our citizens, loot, and then left to go back to their land any different? Not to mention, a high-ranking politician stating publicly, I don't know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. I guess 40-plus years in politics isn't enough time to understand what form of speech is and is not protected by the First Amendment. I remember President Nixon saying that if the president does it, then it is not illegal. President, vice president, speaker, who's going to notice, right? What about mayors and governors letting their cities burn, and when the federal government, who in Article 4 states that it shall protect its state against invasion and domestic violence, offer to help, they refuse to accept help only to end up pleading for it anyway, all the while denying the citizens they are sworn to protect their civil rights, but denying them police protection. Once again, overreach of authority to interpret rather than support the Constitution for their own agenda. To these officials I say, you're a disgrace. Your cowardly form of leadership is putting innocent lives and livelihoods in harm's way and at the mercy of the thugs and mercenaries your puppet masters threw on your lap, and you, whether reluctantly or not, allow them to commit heinous crimes on your watch. That is why the Constitution gifted us the Second Amendment, so that leaders like you and the mercenaries you let loose will not infringe on our liberties without resistance and consequence. And although the Constitution clearly states that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, you continue to do so by proposing restrictions that will only increase crime. Why? Because violent criminals do not care about your regulations or laws and will not only go about their business as usual, but with law enforcement reimagined, will be emboldened to escalate their violence further, as we have clearly seen happen in your cities. Their victims are the ones that are exposed to danger because of your lack of foresight in the matter, and your continued desire to impose control and dependence on your governance for safety and security, which, I might add, you have miserably failed to provide. The last few months proved how short-sighted and delusional you are, and once again, failed to honor your oath to support the Constitution by proposing laws that directly contradict it. Not to mention, doing so while you enjoy the protection of armed security and bulletproof vehicles. I don't suppose you intend to include that privilege for all citizens in your proposals, do you? And to the official who claims to abhor racism, yet suggests that climate change and the harm it may have on us all is caused by corporations primarily headed by white people, I say this. Your tyrannical, prejudicial, and socialist agenda go against the most basic of unalienable rights the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution you swore to support guarantee us. So please, save your self-interest act of ruthless ambition for those blindly seduced by your unconvincing underdog story. The last of endless violations I'll use is the 24th Amendment, which states that, and I summarize, no person shall hold any office who, having previously taken an oath to support the Constitution, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemy thereof. In my view, the officials referred to here, and many like them, have grossly violated their oath and made a mockery of the truth we, the people, hold to be self-evident. They recited their oath with their hand on the Bible, which, whether they believe it or not, is still the greatest symbol of integrity and trust, yet they continue to break both. For the destructive agenda, they are sacrificing life, threatening our liberty, and attempting to infringe on our pursuit of happiness through fear and intimidation. We must remind them that they derive their just powers from the consent of the governed, and it is our right as the governed to alter, abolish, and institute new government. We should do so through our vote, not destruction of life and property and the blatant abuse of power. We should do so by supporting the Constitution that protects the rights of all people, not by interpreting it for the benefit of some. As Abraham Lincoln famously said, we the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert it. Judgment day cometh, and rather soon. Will our Constitution survive? Please let me know what topics you would like my perspective on in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.